All right, here we go again. This week we're talking about creating idea cards, gathering information for your research paper. This is how you go about doing it. You already have done 6 separate cards with one source on each. You may have done more than 6, but I told you to do a minimum of 6 cards. And when we get done with this whole process, when you give me your research paper, all of your note cards will come with it. You have to use note cards. Don't use long, full sheets of paper. Don't type this stuff up on your computer. Don't do any of that. Use note cards, 3x5 or 4x6 note cards. We talked about that with your creating bibliography cards in the first place. Now we're going to talk about idea cards. And yes, I already put this in the lesson, but this is such a critical factor in creating a good research paper that I want to make sure you hear it as well as read it. Okay? So, it's time for you to start collecting ideas for your research paper. So start to look through your sources. And you may have to find more sources. That's okay. Keep in mind you have to take information from a minimum of 6 sources. Okay? You gave me 6 to start with. You may use more. That's okay. That's not a bad thing at all. Okay, so what is an idea card? An idea card is a card in which you write one idea that you found in your research that you think will be able to be used in your paper. Okay? Sometimes idea cards will be exact quotes. If it's an exact quote, then make sure you put quotation marks around it on your card so that if you put it that way in your paper, you can put quotation marks around it in your paper. Make sure also you know exactly where that piece of information comes from. That quote, that we're only talking about quotes at this second, that quote comes from. So the source, if there's pages, the page number, if it's internet, the date you found it on the internet, if it's an interview, the date you did the interview, okay? Make sure you record that because you're going to need that information when you start to put information together for your research paper. And I'll show you how to do all of that. And I will show you how to put information together for your research paper, okay? We're following a process. If you do it by my process, you'll write a good research paper. I've been doing this longer than any of you have been alive, so I know this process pretty well. Okay, so what might a note card look like? Here's a sample of a note card, okay? Notice on the top of the note card, I have an author's last name because the rest of the information about that publication is already on a bibliography card. And then I have the page number that this idea came from. Okay. Now, this is information that I am putting in my words. It's not a direct quote. Therefore, there are no quotation marks around it. Okay? Okay. So this is a 4x6 card. 4x6 card. Looks bigger than that on here, but it's a 4x6 card where I have put down some information for a research paper that I was working on regarding Nathaniel Hawthorne. Okay, one idea on this card. That's all that's there. Notice there's empty space. There's nothing on the back. I don't care. One idea on a card. Don't worry about wasting paper. You'll save tons of time by doing it my way, and your time is more valuable than individual note cards. Okay? Now, a lot of times you'll come across information that you want to put in your own words. That's fine. Okay? That's called paraphrasing. Paraphrase. A lot of the work in your research paper will be paraphrased. Note this and note it well. Even though you are paraphrasing, so even though it's all in your words, it's still somebody else's idea. So you're going to have to tell exactly where it comes from, which is what this card was. This was a paraphrase. Again, you can see there are no quotation marks on here. Okay? It is a paraphrase. It's somebody else's idea that I found that I wanted to use in the paper. And I have to give this person credit for it in the paper. Okay? That's what paraphrasing means. Using somebody else's idea, but putting it in your own words. So that's going to be most of your paper. Most of your paper will be somebody else's ideas that you put in your own words. You have to give credit to that person for those ideas, even though it's all in your words. You might not have any direct quotes in your paper, but each idea in your paper, you will have to tell where it comes from. And this is how you gather the information for that. I'll show you down the road how you actually put it into a paper. I'll show you how you organize it. And you use separate note cards for the sake of organization. And again, yes, you are going to hand in all of your note cards when you give me your paper. I don't know. We haven't chosen a date yet, but we'll find a date for that. Okay, when we can do that. So anyway, if you have questions about this process, email me, text me, call me, whatever. I want to make sure you understand this because this is a critical part of the process. Don't just copy things, out of a book. I mean to say, don't just, you're online and so you just print it on the printer and then highlight. Don't do that. You can't organize that way. Okay? You cannot organize it into a good paper that way. You end up with a whole lot of sheets of paper and a huge disaster. Individual note cards will help you to organize, and I am showing you the easiest, most efficient way to write a research paper, whether you like it or not. By the time we get done, you'll like it because you'll have a great research paper and end up with a good grade on it. Okay? So do it my way, please. It makes life easier for you. Okay? That's what I'm trying to do, is show you the most efficient and best way to write a research paper. Okay? So whether it's a direct quote or a paraphrase, as this is, you're going to have to tell where it comes from in your paper when you use it in your paper. And so you have that on each card, exactly where it comes from. Okay? So it's important that you grab that idea, and that's why I wanted to make a video about it, so that you not only read it in the lesson this week, but you also hear it and see me. I'm sorry, I apologize, but I'm the only person that's going to do this for you because I'm not about to hire an actor. So, so be it. Anyway, as for your essays, and I wrote a lot of comments on there, in general, you did a good job, and my goodness, it was so impressive how some people did some huge things, and how some people opened their hearts to talk about some things that were inside them that they needed to talk about, which is one of the beauties of writing, by the way. And I'm honored that you chose to share those with me. I really am. Okay, I'm honored that you chose to in a sense, take me into your confidence. That's a beautiful thing. Writing can be a way to free ourselves of a lot of things that are inside us too, and a lot of you did that. But and I made comments on everybody's essays that there are little things that some of you need to do. For many of you, it was the same error over and over again. The two biggest errors were when you were using and, but, or, for, nor, so, or yet, joining together two sentences with one of those words. You have to have a comma before that coordinating conjunction, or you have created a run-on sentence. So a lot of you made that error. Didn't put that comma in there. Okay? Some of you just joined together two sentences with a comma. You can't do that either. You need a coordinating conjunction or a semicolon or a period. The other kind of common error I saw was people shifted time. You went from present to past to present to past. You can't do that. There's got to be a good reason to change tense. You can't do that within the sake of a narrative unless there's a really good reason to do it. And most of the time it's because you just didn't think about it, which isn't a good reason. So keep up the good work. We're moving forward. You're doing a good job, and you're going to get it. You're going to keep doing a better and better job. Have a good week.